Alrighty guys, we got an easy one coming in for you today. Welcome to another episode of Min-Maxing for Fun and Profit, though, of course, we definitely have, a lot of videos in this series. We're going to call this one the Session 0. I know I have a lot of people come over from 5e, from the playtest, from easier games, or I guess I should say from less crunchy games, and then not prevail in combat because they're missing some knowledge that I think most of our veteran 3.5 Pathfinder players already have. And so, of course, we need to discuss it. How serendipitous that this comes at a time that Mr. John Conch, our very newest high-tier patron coming over from 5e, requests a video where we kind of make a little basic tutorial, and so that's what we're doing. Those who are new, those who don't optimize, and anywhere in between, these 6 items will save your character's life, will help your character perform better, are the most important items on your character sheet as far as optimization goes. They are called the Big 6 for a reason. If you guys are liking what you're seeing, be sure to like, be sure to subscribe, ding that bell. And if there are any items out there that you consider to be necessary for play, put them in the comments along with your requests if you've got them for either edition of Pathfinder. Today, of course, this episode of Min-Maxing for Fun and Profit was brought to you, in part, by our very newest high-tier patron, Mr. John Conch. The only man who I have ever seen in my life walk up to a Hundun as a playtest barbarian, scream at it, and then throw off its hood. What even are you? I applaud your bravery, my friend, and thank you for your support. I'm looking forward to watching your, honestly, very stellar role-playing skills as we move forward. But now, let's hit it. Okay, so if you do a Google search of Big 6 Pathfinder, you'll find a lot of forums about these, because these items are very relevant all the time. So relevant, in fact, that there are many out there who would attest that the Big 6 are necessary to play this game. That the game's math assumes you will get your hands on these items. Now, I don't necessarily agree with that, because the game assumes nothing. The game is math. A GM can see that you're getting all these items and bump up CRs, or see that you don't have them and lower CRs, but they will certainly hedge your bets in a lot of encounters. With no further ado, we'll hit it with what I think is the first of the Big 6 items that you'll want to pick up in your Pathfinder games, at least in my opinion, depending on your meta, depending on what you're fighting, depending on, about a million different factors. It might be worthwhile to grab one of the other ones first. However, it is my firm opinion that the first item anyone buys when they have money and aren't just like, okay, I need my studded leather and my rapier and my dagger and my climber's kit and my this, that, and the third, is the Cloak of Resistance. All of these items that we're about to talk about scale, usually from 1 to 5, but some are 2, 4, 6, and they all stack on to something your character does in combat. In the case of the Cloak of Resistance, it's a +1, 2, +5 resistance bonus on all 3 of your saves. One of the reasons I tend to pick this one up first is that it's not expensive. A +1 Cloak of Resistance sets you back 1,000 gold. That's before the item crafters, and that's a whole video unto itself, isn't it? Drop 500 gold to make you one, or a very underwhelming 12,500 gold to make a +5 to all 3 of your saves. Now, depending on the point buy, depending on how many dump stats you have, this either becomes necessary for your survival, or it really helps you edge your bets out. Say you're playing in a 15-point buy, and you've dumped your wisdom. PSA from Black Dragon Gaming, don't dump your wisdom. That's a bad idea, because it makes you very susceptible to spells that can mind control you. This is doubly true if you're like a kineticist, as it was pointed out in a comment not that long ago, a barbarian, a fighter, someone who doesn't have a good will save. An extra +1 on your saves kind of, sort of, equates to a 5% further chance-ish of surviving a thing. Again, hedging your bets, making the probability of something, and again, that math was kind of arbitrary, and we're not looking at monster versus like level 1 fighter here, super necessary so you're not using your action economy, which is arguably better than the casters at some levels anyway, depending on how optimized you are, to wreck the party. For something like the Paladin, the Besmerist in terms of their will saves, the Chained Monk with 3 good saves, this is a little less hedging your bets and a little more just flat icing on the cake. Anyway, next up, these 2 items are kind of tied together, more or less the same effect with minor variations. First up, the Ring of Protection. A Ring of Protection gives you a deflection bonus, anywhere of 1 to 5, to your armor class. That distinction is important, as a deflection bonus hits your touch, your flat-footed, your standing armor class, and your CMD. At the same price, occupying the neck slot, not the ring slot, as of course the cape goes on your shoulder slot, it's the Amulet of Natural Armor, which is the same idea, except it gives you an enhancement bonus to your natural armor from 1 to 5, again, scaling based on what you got. Now, the thing about that one is it's an enhancement bonus to your natural armor. So your lizard folks, your Nagaji, your anything that has an existing tough hide only further benefits from this, and it's a separate pool, the natural armor, as opposed to the deflection, as opposed to the armor, as opposed to your dexterity, dodge, etc. So all of these stack. It's really hard to have like a very traditional tank healer damage arc in Pathfinder, and a lot of times I think it's a little more a game of how many crits can you take to the dome before you go down. Increasing your armor class by a bunch, assuming you play by rules that I'm only kind of recently becoming aware of, and crit fishing with a scimitar means that the natural 16 still has to have total roll that would hit, then there's a confirmation roll. So basically it comes down to 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 6 out of 20 times, somebody might critically hit you, but you can avoid the rest of the stuff if you have a really high AC. This is to say nothing of all of the wolves and giant spiders and dog slicery goblin boys that you'll be fighting that won't have, like an elven curve blade, probably. I don't know all the wolves. The harder you are to hit, obviously, the longer you will last in combat. Whether this is the wizard hedging their bets because... Actually, no, I have to back that one up. Because as we all know, and if you don't, follow this card right up here for another old min-maxing video about why dexterity will always be better than full plate. If you're the fighter whose dex is really bad, and it's past like level 5, so bracers of armor / mage armor is passed out like candy, the monk with crazy high dex and wisdom has the highest armor class in the party by a mile. Really, you need that deflection bonus, especially to beef up your abysmal touch AC. Same could be true of the very low strength on the other side of that spectrum, rogue, who's got a crazy high dex and is hard to hit, but their CMD is just bad because they have no strength. Deflection will improve your CMD and, possibly save your life. Or, again, for the monks, the rogue monks, the paladin monks, you see a theme here? The monks. Anybody who's adding a mental ability score or 2 into their AC, it's again just hedging your bets, especially at low level play. Anyway, next up, these two again are tied right alongside one another. It's a magic weapon and magic armor. Now, of course, not all characters are created equal. Your monk, your druid, will not seek a magic weapon. They will seek a permanent magic fang, an amulet of mighty fists, and then we have to talk about magic tattoo rules, slot this item rules, etc. to make sure you still have that amulet of natural armor. And of course, +5 full plate does not look good on the wizard who can't cast in it. Again, bracers of armor, best thing ever. But these go on to basically say the same thing. +5 to your AC, again, keeps you from getting squashed. But the enhancement bonus to your weapon applies both to your attack rolls and your damage rolls with that weapon. The magic weapon can also, as you level into it and spend more gold on it, penetrate DR. A +3 weapon enhancement can penetrate cold iron or silver. A +4, though you don't ignore hardness, will penetrate the DR of DR over adamantine. +5 beats alignment-based DR. +6 beats epic DR, but that's a whole different mythical story. And as you level up, you're of course gonna run into stuff with alignment-based DR. You're gonna run into stuff that will ignore 5 or 10 points of your damage. And in addition to the fact that your greatsword or your kukri and everything in between, if it's not enchanted, might not even hit and do way less damage because it's not enchanted. You might not even break DR unless you happen to have, like, the cold iron war axe you needed to fight the Kraglin Orm. And last but not least, this one's a little more broad across the spectrum. and probably the one you got last, because oftentimes, for some characters, they're very expensive, your stat boosting item. That is to say, your headband of intelligence, wisdom, and charisma, your belt of strength, or dex, or constitution, depending on your character's needs and wants. These items grant a +2, or 4, or 6 to one of our ability scores, or more, depending on which one specifically you pick up. Adjusting the ability scores will adjust everything. Attack rolls, skill checks, AC, saves, all in one. No faster way to become a more powerful character than to pick up one of these, or our honorable mention item. One of these exists for all 6 of our ability scores: gainful exercise, quickness of action, and bodily health for our strength, dexterity, and constitution respectively, and our tome of clear thought, understanding, and leadership and influence for our intelligence, wisdom, charisma respectively. Now, even a +1 of these sets you back just way lots of money. It's a +1 or +5 directly to one of your scores as an inherent bonus. It's a one-shot item, but again, this will shoot your stats into the stratosphere, which changes, again, the rest of the character sheet. A lot of times in videos you're about to watch, / a lot of times in videos you've already watched, I reference my belt in my book. This is what I mean. There's no better way to beat scary monsters than to make sure you have stats comparable to them. It's a fact of life. But that's all I have to say right now. I hope for all of my new friends, new players, new patrons, this video was very helpful for you because, again, I don't think the game assumes you'll have these to survive. However, they certainly are 6 of the best items you could ever have on your character in terms of optimization. But if you think I missed any, throw them in the comments, let me know. I want to know what you guys are buying on your characters, for my own help. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. Again, like and subscribe for more videos. Next weekend, we're going back to the Pathfinder playtest with gosh, I guess I can't call it this for much longer, can I? Paladin, specifically the chaotic good one, going full Liberator of Desna. See you then.